Hello Year 11 and welcome to our first video here for our sixth topic. Our sixth topic is finance, earning money and finance in fact. And we're going to begin with exercise 301 with wages, salary and overtime. Wages and salary are two methods for calculating a person's income. And these are probably the two most common methods for calculating a person's income. A wage is based on how many hours you work in a pay cycle, whether that's weekly or fortnightly or possibly monthly. Right? Your wages are calculated based on how many hours you work and an hourly rate of pay. Now, if you have a part-time or a casual job, you're probably already familiar with this, that you have an hourly rate and you multiply your hourly rate by the number of hours that you work, right, to get your wage for that pay cycle, whether it's per week or per fortnight. Now, in addition to your regular wage, perhaps if you are working full-time, now full-time varies in different industries and between different employers even perhaps, typically between 36 and 40 hours per week. There are some exceptions outside of that, but 36 to 40 hours per week is usually considered full-time, and if you work additional hours, maybe things are very busy, some people have called in sick, something like that. Perhaps you've worked some additional hours, and those additional hours are called overtime. And again, typically, overtime, you're not just paid for at your normal, ordinary time rate, but perhaps you are paid at a higher rate, a higher hourly rate, just for your overtime hours. Right? That's commonly the case. This might be at time and a half, so that's 1.5 times your normal rate, or double time, that's 2 times your normal rate, or all sorts of other things. It might be time and a quarter, or even time and an eighth, right? Something like this, but it'll be specified. There are other reasons why you might get paid at a higher hourly rate as well, and perhaps, possibly, you've come across these if you have a job during the Easter holidays, because things like weekends and public holidays might be paid at a higher rate. Perhaps working late at night might be as well. These things are called penalty rates, right? And it's when you are paid at a higher than usual hourly rate of pay. So let's have a look at an example here for wages. And we've got Christy working in the childcare centre for 37 hours a week at this hourly rate, and 6 hours overtime at time and a half. Calculate her earnings for the week. So we have 37, right? I'm going to use a P for pay, is 37 hours at $24.70 plus 6 hours now at time and a half, so that's times 1.5 to make it the higher rate, times $24.70. Okay, so this expression here will tell us Christie's earnings for the week. So here comes my calculator, best way to do these things. And what do we do? Oops, come on calculator, over here. So I'm going to say 37 times 24.7 plus 6 times 1.5 times 24.7 equals 1,136.20. Right? And that's Christie's weekly earnings. Okay. Now, we've got another example here, and it's a little more complicated. We've got Ian here working in RSL. He has penalty rates. He has penalty rates of time and a half for working at an evening after 6 o'clock. And he gets double time on public holidays. He has worked some days here, obviously not this week, because Anzac Day was not on a Wednesday. Not this year, sorry. But we are going to calculate Ian's pay for these 3 days. So what we want to do is, we want to work out how many ordinary time hours he worked, how many hours at time and a half, and how many hours at double time. So I'm going to say, I'm going to draw up a little table here. I'm going to have my day, ordinary time hours. I'm going to say ordinary time hours. I don't want that to look like overtime. I'm going to change that actually from OT just to ORD. Ordinary time, I'm going to have time and a half, so 1.5, and my double time. Right, we're going to work out how many hours we've got here, and I'm going to say I've got, oops, not that one, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Right. Table's a great way to organise your data, particularly when it's a little complicated like this. Now at the bottom here, what I'm going to do is have a total. Just do a double line there, we'll say total. So, on Tuesday, Ian works from 3 till 10. Now, those hours after 6 are this time and a half. So he worked 4 hours at time and a half, and the other hours, right, from 3 till 6, so those 3 hours of ordinary time. Okay, so we've got these ones. No hours, at double time, of course. On Wednesday, he worked from 9 till 2, which is 5 hours, and that's all at double time. And on Thursday, Ian works from 12 till 7. So that's 7 hours, but one of those hours is at time and a half. So I've got 6 hours of ordinary time and 1 hour time and a half. Now my totals here, 9, 5, and 5. Right, if I add those up, you can see I've got 19 hours, and if I add up all of those hours there, I should have 19 as well. So now I'm going to have P for pay equals. So we've got 9 hours at ordinary time at 18.17 plus 5 hours at time and a half, so times 1.5 times my 18.17. And I also have 5 hours at double time, so times 2 times the 18.17. Rightio. And then back to the calculator here. Let's have a look. Move my calculator out of the road. So I'm going to say 9 times 18.17 plus 5 by 1.5 times 18.17 plus 5 times 2, which is of course 10, times 18.17. And I get 481 and let's say 51 cents. $481.51. We're going to round that up. That's his pay for those 3 days. Rightio. That's wages, and that's, generally speaking, about as complicated as the wages get. You might get a bigger timesheet than that, but it becomes a lot of calculations for not a lot of extra gain there. We're going to talk about salary now. There are some complications here. Salary is where you have an agreed pay, right, an agreed income for a full year. And people like teachers are typically paid a salary, right? So I know how much I'm going to get paid for the year, right? Whether I work overtime or whatever else, that doesn't change these things. Now, I don't get paid all of my annual salary either at the start of the year or at the end of the year. Right? That would be difficult for me to manage, I suppose. Instead, I'm paid fortnightly. Now, some people in a salary are paid weekly, some people might be paid monthly. Monthly is relatively easy to work out because we take our annual salary and divide it by 12. There are definitely 12 months in a year, and if you're paid on the first of each month or the last of each month or something like that, that's fine. You take your annual salary divided by 12. Weekly and fortnightly. Now, there are not exactly 52 weeks in a year. There's always 52 full weeks in a year, but then there's something else. And that something else kind of is a bit tricky because we don't have exactly 365 days in a year. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And so what I'm going to say is, unless otherwise specified in the question, just work on 52 weeks in a year. Right? Divide your salary by 52 to get the weekly pay. Divide the salary by 26 for the fortnightly pay. if the question says there are 52.14 weeks in a year or 52.18 weeks in a year, and both of those figures are, they have their benefits and issues, I would suggest just use 52. When I say I suggest, it will be fine to just use 52 unless otherwise specified. So let's have a look here. Siobhan earns a salary of $98.25 as an IT consultant. To the nearest cent, how much is she paid monthly? So, $98,025 divided by 12. Thank you, calculator. 98,025 divided by 12 equals 8,168.75. What does it say to the nearest cent? Yep. 8,165.25, I think it was. Come back, calculator. Oh, 75. Oh, I'm way up. 8,168.75. Sorry. Right, that's monthly pay. Fortnightly pay, right, we can't just halve that. Right? There's certainly nothing like 2 fortnights in a month. I can't do things that way. That would leave me with only 24 fortnights in a year, and that's not very close at all. So I need to go back to the 98,025 and divide it by 26. So I'm going to say here, 90, oops, that's a weird 9. Oh, well, that's how it is, I think. I can't find the eraser. No, there it is. Okay, 98,025 divided by 26 equals, back to the calculator here, 98,025 divided by 26 equals 3,770.19. Now, you might find in the textbook different answers when you work out some of these things, because I think our textbook typically specifies 52.18 weeks in a year, which would be 26.09 fortnights in a year. But as I say, that's not uniform, it's not universal. If it's specified, use the figure that's provided. If not, use 52 weeks or 26 fortnights. Right, that's it for wages and salary. It's kind of blown out here a little bit. If you've got any questions, please jot them down, ask them in class, and that's where I'll see you. Okay, cheers.